When Dakar said it was 100% Peru, I said, okay, this is my time. It's a dream for every rider. Cancer was my first most important race. You can do everything you want to. You just really have to believe it.
You just have to believe it. Welcome back, listeners. Episode 39 of the Bend Motorcycle Adventures podcast is here. Thank you for joining. Thank you for listening. And don't forget to rate, review, and subscribe to this podcast if you enjoy our content each and every single week. So let's jump into this, listeners. I have often wanted to interview someone who has competed in the Dakar Rally, and that is exactly what is in front of us today. Gianna Valerde joins the show. She raced the car this year, and in her home country of Peru, nonetheless. So my first question for Gianna was, hey, what was it like racing the world's toughest race in your home country?
It was like being in a movie, you know? When you were usually the spectator, but in this case you were an spectator and you were also a rider. So it was like a TV show or something. Yeah, it was pretty insane, but it was also pretty cool to share those moments with so many riders from around the world. And every one of them, we were having some troubles, you know, with the machine, with ourselves, with navigation.
Okay, and what do you mean by being a spectator? When you're in the moment, is it hard just to focus on yourself, or are you keeping an eye on your competitors and what everybody else has going on?
Not really, because you are amazed about the whole Dakar concept. When you go through the VBAC, you see the people with assistant and the people with non-assistant, which are the originals. And you go to that place and you see their faces, you see how they work in their machine with the tools. Then you go to the dining room, then you go to the bathroom, and everything is like, I don't know, it's kind of show. So yeah, you were kind of a spectator, because also when you're riding, you see so many vehicles, trucks, cars, quads, motorcycles, and you see the face of every rider, and it's like every one of them is making their own story. So that's what I meant by being a spectator.
Okay, yeah, I would imagine now some people are veterans of Dakar and have participated in many rallies, but there's a lot of people there for the first time like you, living out their dreams, right?
Yeah, and we heard so many things about Dakar that when you are there, you want to see everything.
Sure, and I would just be curious to know what inspired you to compete here in the world's longest race?
Well, it was in my country, and that give me a lot of confidence. So that was my first step. When Dakar said it was 100% Peru, I said, okay, this is my time. I won't have another opportunity, so go for it. And I was there, you know, riding. The Peruvian dunes are very hard to face, because we have big dunes and the sand is so soft. And well, the heat is not like Argentinian heat, but we are also a very warm country, and we also have a very cold weather, you know. And the last four stages, well, the middle four stages were in that cold part of Peru. So that gave me a lot of confidence to participate in this big race with so many riders.
Okay. And when did you actually start riding motorcycles?
I started riding when I was 15 years old.
And you're 24 now?
I'm 25 recently.
So correct me if I'm wrong, but you weren't able to finish Dakar this year. You had some issues with your bike. Can you kind of fill us in on what went on there?
I had some mechanical issues since day two. Yeah, my my direction of the front wheel was like blocked. I had some trouble with the navigation tower. A screw were loose and it like blocked my direction. So it was like going in a straight line when you're riding, and that in sand is very dangerous, especially when because of all these issues I was riding really slow. So the trucks were like they catch me like very fast. So it was not only fight with my bike, which is not something you have to do. You have to. It's like a dance, and I have to struggle with my bike, and I have to fight with all the tracks that the trucks left in the terrain.
Oh, so if you get commingled or intertwined with all those trucks, they're going to tear up the course, and then you're left to have to ride through it, right?
It's very difficult. It's very hard to ride when the trucks are there because they leave like a big track.
So how do you go from just learning to ride a motorcycle and riding locally to deciding that you want to do the Dakar? Where did that idea come from?
You know, here in my country, we usually when you talk about Dakar, it's like something unimaginable for any rider because it's like the top career, and you have to be very good in your bike. You have to be an amazing athlete to participate in this kind of race. But when I started riding, I saw Dakar like that, like something impossible for me. Like I'm not going to be participating in that race because I'm definitely not so good in the bike and I'm definitely not an athlete. However, since I was 15 years old till I was 20, I started to make some improvements in my life. I started to ride more. I started to eat better. I started to take care of myself physically. And there was a moment when I was 21 that I felt very strong. So I said, okay, I'm going to ride one Dakar, but in 3 years, because physically and my handling in the bike is okay. But I think this race has to be for someone with, I don't know, more experience, you know, in the mental part, especially because you're navigating alone. You spend plenty hours by yourself in the middle of a desert, and you have so many thoughts in that moment that I consider I wasn't mature enough to participate in this race. But again, when Dakar said it was going to be 100% of Peru, I said, okay, this is it. I was about to wait 3 years, 3 more years. I said, okay, I'm going to ride one Dakar when I'm 27.
I got another question for you. You talked about being alone out there navigating through the sand. What is going through your mind when you're doing that?
You have many thoughts. I had many problems with my bike, so I was almost begging to someone something that please don't don't leave me here, you know, in the middle of a desert. I really want to finish it. I really want to finish every stage because I think I'm capable of doing it. But please, bike, don't broke. And in some moments, you don't think in anything because you're also navigating. And when you navigate, you cannot think in anything else. Because if you think in anything else, in something else, you're not focused in the path you have to ride to. because when you navigate, you not only see what is going to happen here in your first 3 kilometers. You need to go beyond. You need to know what is going to happen in the next 6 kilometers. And if you think in something else, you won't be able to catch all this information. So you basically don't think in anything. Just you beg that your bike doesn't broke and that you don't have any hard fall, any particular fall that will makes you leave the race. But you don't think in anything. You don't have time to be scared.
I like that. You don't have time to be scared. Now, back to the navigation. How do you prepare and practice for that?
Well, first of all, you have to study what the functions of every instrument, of every tool, because it has a particular function. One tool says your kilometers, the other one talks about your direction, and the other one, which is the route book, has all the details that you need to know when you're riding, because that terrain is something you don't know, is unknown. So you have to pay attention to your route book, because your route book also talks about the dangers that you will find in the route. And in rally, you usually go like 100 kilometers per hour. You don't go at 40 kilometers per hour. You usually go like in high speed. And you need to pay very attention to your route book, because all those dangers will be in your way like so fast, like very fast. So when you have clear what every tool has function is, you need to study the route book. The route book has a particular language, which is, I don't know, and is a lot. So you have to know every detail of your route book, and with that, you just have to practice. The flying hours, like we said here in Peru, you need to practice a lot so you can be very good at it. But it's also very difficult, because when you're in Dakar or in rally, you're riding, okay? You are navigating and you're looking some tracks of the other riders, and then you saw a rider that is going in the other direction of you, And what do you think in that moment? Should I follow him or should I trust in my navigation? Because if you follow him, you might get lost. Or maybe if you trust in your navigation and you're not navigating right, you will get lost too. So it's very navigation is it's awesome, but it's also pretty hard. Not also because the mental part, but you have to trust a lot in yourself.
Yeah, I suppose it's very, very difficult, but rewarding at the same time if you're able to hit all your marks. But you're, again, referencing a road book, checking out your kilometers, and trying to navigate some gnarly terrain or sand too. So there's a lot going on. And back to what you said earlier, you don't have time to really daydream or think about anything else.
You actually have no time to think in anything, because if you get distracted one moment, you won't see your where you're driving. You won't see your direction. You are not paying attention of what dangers are coming. If you don't pay attention in navigation, you can follow a track of someone that it's not riding in the race. So it can be very tricky.
Yeah, and I've heard of some competitors in the past, savvy competitors, who, when somebody just started following them or their tracks, maybe they'd pull over, maybe they'd go the wrong way for a second to throw their competitors off too. There's a little bit of gamesmanship in there too.
For people like me, and I believe that many riders in Dakar are like me too, we just want to finish it.
Yeah, and that was probably your ultimate goal here, this year, correct?
Yeah, it was finishing. However, you it's not only up to the rider, it's also up to the mechanic, up to the bike, up to everything else.
So you talked about this being your first Dakar. Are we going to see you out there next year in Saudi Arabia?
I would love to. However, Saudi Arabia is like very far away, and that country is not so good with women. I believe women there recently started driving like 1 year ago. So I don't know. I'm still thinking about it. I'm still thinking about it. I had I have another race on my mind, which is the Africa Eco Race. They departure from Monaco. They go through Morocco, through Mauritania, and they finish in Dakar, like in Senegal. And it's also a 12 stage race. Sounds pretty good too. It's a rally, it's not so far away. And in Europe, the logistics are more easy to handle. So I'm kind of looking my options. But I would love to go to another Dakar. It's a dream for every rider.
Yeah, back to Saudi Arabia. Not, I would say, not a very progressive country. Women, they have very limited. Well, they really have a limited ability to choose. They need permission to get married or divorced, travel, whether or not they go to school. So that would, as a female competitor in Dakar, I'm not sure if I would want to support that or if I would want to, opt out because of, again, the treatment of women in that country is far different than most.
Yeah, and also because it's very hard, to find your visa there. They don't give tourist visa, so I'm not sure how they are going to do everything. I don't want to be that kind of rider that makes all the logistics, and they are about to race, but they cannot go through the country because they are missing one paper. I don't want to be that kind of rider. It's not on my plans. So
Sure, sure. Back to just Dakar as a whole, you built up for this race, but what did you have to do? We see a lot on Instagram. We see a lot of photos where you're working out at the gym, but what does it take to prepare physically for a race like that that's over 3,000 miles?
2 months before Dakar, I actually broke one of my collarbones. They put me a big plate of metal with 3 screws. So yeah, I had that injury, but however, I spent a lot of time on rehab for my collarbone, and I spent a lot of time working out some other muscles like my legs. So when I raced Dakar, I thought that my body, that me, was going to fail, that I wouldn't be able to handle all the stress of the race. But actually, I was like pretty fresh. I wasn't tired of anything, even though that I have many falls, like horrible falls that you have seen because of all my direction problems of this loose screw that I couldn't fix. Now that I have already raced one Dakar, I know that Dakar is not a race for riders. It's a race for athletes. Of the psychological part also, because if you are in a situation that another rider is coming in the other way that you're going, you need to be you need to believe in yourself that you're doing things right. So Dakar is a race for athletes, and with this concept, this year I've been training a lot in my muscles, but especially also in my cardio, because you need to be able to hold on many hours in the bike. You need to your heart has to be accustomed to high frequency. You need to be very used to to ride so many hours and in high speed.
Yeah, I would assume it's a weird combination of intensity, but again, the duration of each day in the event is taxing. So you have to be really consistent, and then competitor and machine, you have to maintain both body and bike throughout the course of that entire rally. Let's talk about high speeds for a minute, or speed. How fast do you get going out there across those sands of Peru?
Oh, that depends. If you are going through dunes, you usually don't go too fast because in Peru, when you climb one dune, usually when you go down to that dune, you can find small dunes. So you can go really fast because when you go through the dune, you will find another dune behind. So you might fall, you might get hurt pretty bad, and in sand you usually go like more faster than you go in the dirt or in the rocks, and that's also pretty dangerous. That's why rally is one of the most dangerous type of off-road in the motorcycle, because as you go in high speed you usually get injured pretty easily. But in dunes, particularly, you don't go too fast because if you go too fast, you won't have time to think. To think, okay, I probably should better go to the right because to the left, I'm finding like a big hole, and if I get stuck there, it's going to be pretty hard to take out the bike. But if I go to the right, which there's no dune, there's no hole, I should better go there because it's easier. So you usually in dunes don't go so fast because you need to have time to think, and of course not to get injured.
What else? What else might you worry about while you're out there running this rally?
Well, you also when it's your first Dakar, one of your main fears is that a truck will smash you.
Yeah, so we have, I think here in the States, we're all very familiar with the Baja Rally, and sometimes towards the end of that, the trucks catch the bike, and it doesn't seem like they really slow down much as they go by. You just kind of have to get out of their way.
Yeah, well, they can't slow down because they are so big, they are so heavy, they can't. So we as riders of motorcycles, yeah, we usually should avoid it. But also the truck shouldn't go through us, They have to find another way to go through, not smashing the bike. But when you fall, like for example, you're climbing a dune and you fall behind and there is a truck behind you, the truck is not going to see you. And I heard one story of Anastasia Ninfotova, which is the Russian woman that is the first woman to finish in original in moto. So yeah, she's like big thing. And she said that in one of the stages she fall behind this small dune and a truck almost smashed her. And I saw another video of Gabriela Novotna, which is another female rider in motorcycle, that she fall behind a small dune. But the truck comes so fast that they almost like jump through the dunes, to the small ones. And they like smash her bike. No, it was a car, sorry. But again, a car, a truck, when you fall behind a dune, no one sees you, not even a bike.
You would know better than me, but I suppose that's intimidating being out there on a bike and racing amongst cars and trucks and overland vehicles. There's really a lot going on out there at Dakar. Now, we don't have to talk about this if you don't want, but I had read that you were diagnosed with cancer at the age of 15. You beat it. You're a cancer survivor. And I'm wondering if you feel like that's given you a different perspective or made you a stronger competitor having overcome cancer.
Yeah, it's okay to talk about it. I moved on like a long time ago. But yeah, cancer was my first most important race, the first most important race of my life. It was pretty destructive, you know, this disease, when it appears, it destructs everything. It wants to destroy everything. And it also not only you, but also your family, they they feel everything. It's like they have cancer too. So when I met the bike in my 15 when I was 15 years old, actually I was in my chemio procedures, and the bike was that moment when I wasn't a tiny girl with cancer, because I put my helmet on and no one will know that I'm a girl, you know, and no one will know that I have cancer. So the bike gave me the strength that the cancer took away. And yeah, it helped me. It helped me a lot because I have this rush to do something difficult always. I always want to do something difficult, you know, like a challenge. So that's probably what helped me to decide, okay, I'm going to ride Dakar, which is not only hard just to ride it, it's pretty hard just to be in the departure line, because you know Dakar is so expensive. And of course, I rode when I was 24 years old. I don't have like, I don't earn $50,000 per year. So I had to look all the sponsorship. And you know, to decide, okay, I'm going to find all the sponsorship I need to be just there in the departure line. It's pretty hard to make that decision.
Yeah, I would say that is quite the achievement just getting there, right? The build up to that, the practice, the training, the money that you speak of, just getting to line up there. I think that is that journey is an accomplishment itself. And back to your comment, very powerful and inspiring words about some of your experiences in life. That was, my father's a cancer survivor, and you're right. It doesn't just touch you; it touches everybody.
Yeah, cancer is a destructive disease, but it also is an opportunity. You know, I spend a lot of time thinking why I had cancer, why me, you know, and I truly believe that people who go through this kind of disease, of bad situation, like pretty bad situation, pretty shitty situation, is for something. You need to learn something. And actually all my family learned something, definitely. And me, definitely I learned something. But it's pretty hard to see this disease as an opportunity, because we usually see it as a destructive disease, but it also destroys and leave you plenty ground to build something better, something new. We should see cancer as an opportunity, but it's pretty hard. Again, it's pretty hard.
Wow, pretty powerful statement there. Thank you for sharing. I wanna move on to one of my last topics here. You'd made a statement that said the woman who is leaving will be different than the woman who returns, and I would just like to know, having raced Dakar for your first time, how did it change you?
You know, when I said here in my country that I was about to race Dakar, not a lot of people were happy for me. Some of them, especially riders, they said, like, okay, she's going to steal every sponsor because she's a girl and because of her pretty face, her pretty story, everything is going to be easier for her. And I heard some other people that said that it was embarrassing that I will race Dakar because I'm not an athlete, because I don't have like 20 years in the sport. But the Gianna that it's well, that didn't finish Dakar, but that was there. This Gianna really believes that she can do everything. If I, at my 24 years old, was able to race the most difficult race in the world, not only again for the physical part, but also the logistic part, the part of looking for the money, could make to the departure. I can basically do everything I believe I'm capable to do. And every comment, everything that other people around me says that is not positive is like, okay, you're not sponsoring me, so your opinion, it doesn't really affect me. So this Jana, yeah, it's pretty different because I truly believe that I'm capable to do everything I want, everything I put as a target, as an aim. I will do everything I have to do to make what I really want to do, to make it possible. And that is something very powerful. It's very, very powerful. It's easy to say it, but it's pretty hard to really believe it. And as a woman, as a female who rides these kind of racers, which are only for men, it really changed your life. When I was in the organization in the first stage, and I finished the first stage. I had time, so I took a bath. I even put some makeup on. I put some color in my lips, and okay, I wasn't like in high heels, but I looked like a girl. And I went to the organization to ask for my road book, and the guy of the organization, he didn't reply me no or yes. He just told me it's only for riders. And I look at him and I show him my bracelet that every rider had, and I told him I'm a rider too. It's because I'm a woman. And yeah, you don't really think about it, but this sport is very like machista, like we said here in Peru. I don't know what how to say it in English. Maleist.
Yeah, I guess I would say male dominated. I don't want to say chauvinistic, but I understand what you're saying. Yes.
And it's like, okay, you're a girl, you're kind of pretty, and you're young. Okay, so you shouldn't ride good. You shouldn't be here. You shouldn't do everything that every guy is doing because you're a girl, you're tiny, and you're young. I faced that like a lot before riding Dakar in all my motorcycle history. And it's like this Gianna after Dakar really doesn't care about what a man thinks of me, because I know who I am, and I'm pretty. I do believe that I can do everything I want. Of course, I'll have to do some sacrifices. I have to put some commitment, and I have to take it pretty seriously. That's what I'm doing now with rally. So I really don't really care about what other people says about me.
Yeah, and I would, thinking big picture, I would say that the rally itself, the terrain, the challenges, it doesn't discriminate. It doesn't care if you're a man or a woman. It's gonna hit you from every angle. And too bad for that person there. Very narrow-minded aspect. I wanted to ask if how you've got a pretty large social media following. Does that empower you? Does that inspire you to keep moving forward?
It's not really that I have like 30,000 followers. Oh my gosh, I'm famous. It's not like that. It's not like that. It's like one little girl writes me and she talks to me Gianna, I'm 14 years old and I'm just start riding and I saw your pictures. I want to be like you. And that really is inspiring. It really is an inspiration, to be an example, to show all these little girls that you actually can do everything you want. And not only for the women, but also for the male, for the men. You can do everything you want to. You just really have to believe it. And sometimes you're going to feel like you're fighting with the world with a small wood sword, but you can do everything you want if you really believe in it. If you really believe that you're capable to do it, it doesn't really matter if all the world says you won't be able to do it. If you believe that you can, that's enough. And that's enough for me. If I do show this message to all the people that follow me, that's enough for me too.
All right, I like that analogy, fighting the world with a wooden sword. And hey, you're inspiring me, but before we close it out, are there any sponsors that you want to thank or anybody you want to reach out to before we close it out?
Well, first of all, to my chicken sponsor, Avinca, which feeds me every day. Aspirate, which is this energized drink with this drink that with minerals. What Bold also, which is this energetic drink, and well, Chevron, KTM also because I probably signed with them again, and yeah, to all the Peruvian brands that are with me, in this awesome race, which is conquer Dakar. Not only Dakar the race, but now probably Dakar the place.
Gianna, thank you for coming on the podcast and best of luck conquering more races and more places. Listeners, make sure you follow along with her journey, Gianna.Valerde on Instagram. Speaking of social media, at Ben Motorcycle Adventures on both Facebook and Instagram, our website, bendmotorcycleadventures.com. And if you've got any questions, comments, concerns, ideas for future episodes, whatever, bendmotorcycleadventures@gmail.com. Listeners, I've got another episode of the podcast coming at you Saturday, June 1st, getting the month of June off to an amazing start. Garrett Ortiz is back on the show for the second time, and we're going to talk about secret trails, the holy grail, the forbidden fruit for all you off-road riders out there. And we're going to talk about kind of the current state of OHV, off-highway vehicle areas, and just the impact and the use, and of course whether or not we should be sharing tracks and sharing locations with the masses. So you don't want to miss that one. Last little bit of information here. I've talked a little bit on the podcast about building this website dedicated to motorcycle adventure and shifting this podcast over underneath that brand. I think that will probably take place sometime after the middle of June, and we're in luck. We're going to have a co-host. Garrett Ortiz is actually going to co-host a weekly podcast with me on that platform. So I'll put out a short blip and another podcast directing you to the new show so you guys don't miss it. It will not be on the same stream, but I don't want everybody to miss out. And the interviews, the motorcycle adventures, the stories, they're not going to go away, but on a more consistent basis, we'll be bringing you content. So I want everybody to look forward to that. And again, if you have any questions, bendmotorcycleadventures@gmail.com. I'm going to get out of here. We'll see you guys Saturday. Have a good June.